I came across a pamphlet called Christianity or Communism, Which? By Hyman J. Appleman. And can you be a country, let me just ask a question to preface this. If you can be a communist country with capitalist markets, can you be a capitalist country with communistic markets? What is exactly communism and all that kind of stuff? He's got a very interesting saying, but what I'm trying to say is you got to find this pamphlet, and this communism is actually oh my goodness, it's terrible. It's bitterly, entirely, what is worse, enthusiastically opposed to our way of living, to what we call the democratic principles. It is ours then to find out, to investigate, to dwell upon a number of things. Now, it's against democratic principles. Now, let's put it this way. Is it a system of government? Is democracy a system of economy? That makes more sense. Democratic economy makes sense because people choose to what they want, supply and demand. A government should be something else entirely that adds the protections to make sure that the smut doesn't take over the supply and demand. What we're not seeing anymore is any kind of supply and demand. It is permeated, and there needs to be a redefinition of things. But I want you to see what he says here. Sam Vaknison, Fantasy Lives of Narcissism and Borderlines. But let me tell you why America is antithetical to narcissism. Is it supposed to be? Because it's individuality, because of that independence. But other countries are, maybe it's not so bad for other countries to be narcissistic because they are not necessarily individuated. Let's have a listen.
Mind abuse, we actually are talking about parents who had refused to regard the child as a separate entity and therefore could not see the child.
Yes.
I mean, you can't see someone unless you acknowledge that they're separate from you.
Yes.
This is something people find difficult to understand.
All right, so he said you cannot acknowledge somebody unless you see them. You individuate them separately. You can't see them as an extension of yourself. That is quintessentially the American way of life as opposed to all other monarchies, communisms, etc., because you're basically just an extension of something else. America is supposed to be the answer, the answer to everything, because they are founded on Christian principles, because Jesus gave us the freedom. Mary was allowed to sit at his feet instead of being nagged by Martha to go and work in the kitchen. It was a very liberating thing. It doesn't mean that we should all be lazy and smoke weed or whatever. No. America was also founded on things like this Hyman Christianity or communism. I mean, smut comes in with communism, and you'll find that all the movies that are introducing that kind of stuff are communist because they need it to be full of debauchery to take it over. But he said the Americans 50 years ago, this was written in the 50s, people would be put in the penitentiary for what we see on television today, and he was talking 60 years ago. So we are really living in, like the craziness is on the outside, that's for sure. They got rid of our mental asylums in Canada, so like we are the care aides and the nurses basically for this society. But yes, this whole thing about needs to be drilled down. Communist economy in a capitalist country. And also the other thing that I said, which I can't remember.